Hi, I see that there is somebody here. If you could type something in the chat box and let me know if you could hear me, I would appreciate it. I've got cards ready. If you've got a question, go ahead and ask. Hi, Denise. Can you hear me? You're the first person here, so I haven't had a sound check yet. Let me know if you can hear me. And cards ready if you've got a question. Excellent. That's good news. Thank you. So, do you have a question for the cards? Excellent. I had a boss whose pet peeve was your versus your. So, what can I have the cards tell you? Did Brad buy you flowers today? Well, since you're the only one here, I'll break the rules. Instead of doing a 1 card pull or a 3 card pull, I'll do a yes or no pull, which actually involves dealing into several piles and seeing whether we get aces in a certain configuration. I get the inverted Ace of Cups and the upright Ace of Swords and the inverted Two of Swords, which is actually a pretty confusing reading. It suggests that he probably didn't buy them. However, if you ask them or if you ask him, he will probably say that he did. And the Two of Swords suggests that he can be. He blocks his own emotions. Like he's the sort of guy who wishes that he thought to do things like buy flowers, but it doesn't occur to him. And then after the fact, it's like, oh my God, why didn't I do that? And maybe I can get away with claiming credit. It looks to me like he would if he thought of it. Yeah, maybe somebody else did. And since you're still the only one here, I might as well just keep pulling cards. And looks like, see if it looks like it. Is this a situation where they could have been for somebody else, or were they definitely for you? Do you know that at least? Who knows? Maybe you've even got a few boyfriends there. There you go. So they might not even necessarily have been for you. Well, Let's look at some cards and ask some questions. See, that's sort of sad. It would be nice if they were definitely for you. You're just being nosy. For a tarot card reading, for a tarot card reader, nosy people are a good thing. Hi, Janelle. I'll be with you in just a minute. So Denise, I get the inverted 7 of coins for the question. Were the flowers actually for you? And it looks to me like they probably were not. So they were probably for one of your roommates. I'm sorry to say that. Hi, Janelle. You want to know if Tony and you will ever be in a romantic relationship. Let's see. I get the inverted 3 of coins, which suggests that that's not written in stone yet. I can tell that you're sort of putting in the work to get to a romantic relationship. And I get the impression that he probably is too, but you just haven't gelled yet. I would say it's not a sure thing that you will be, but it's not a sure thing that you won't be either. Let me pull another one and see if there's anything you can do to like solidify that. I get the inverted 4 of wands. Boy, lots of inversions today. It looks like the problem is that Tony is interested in retaining a certain amount of freedom. So you need to overcome the fact that he's a little bit afraid of commitment there. I don't know that what you've already been doing is going to be enough for that. One more, the Ace of Cups. I think that means that you have to be. Ace of Cups is a really powerful card as far as emotion. It's like all the emotion in the world pouring out. That sounds like it would make somebody who's afraid of commitment sort of afraid, but it could just be that that's what he really needs, is to know that somebody really loves him before he wants to get involved. So I think it's important that you make a move to show interest and emotional compatibility, and that will probably push things more in that direction, if that makes any sense. And I'm not sure that you're still here because the indicator says there's one person here and Denise is still typing. So I'm thinking that Denise is the only one here again. So Denise, you say, oh, you are here. That's excellent. This indicator doesn't mean anything then. So did any of that make any sense, Janelle? Denise says that Venus in Sagittarius transit got everyone appreciating freedom more than being tied down. Yes, that's true. However, I sort of suspect that a much bigger problem right now is the fact that all of the outer planets from Jupiter through Pluto are in retrograde, and Mercury's in retrograde too, which is really screwing up communication. That said, I believe Jupiter's going direct again this week or next week or towards the end of the month maybe, and that gives us some hope that there at least can be some good things happening. Ah, well, Janelle, that would be one of the reasons why he doesn't want to do the commitment thing, right? Let me pull a card for you and see what how strongly he feels for that other person, because that'll tell you whether or not it's even worth the effort, right? So I get the inverted Prince of Swords. If this deck looks really weird, this is because I drew this deck myself, and it's not a great, beautiful deck, but it means that I'm very in tune with these cards. I think that the inverted Prince of Swords there means that he isn't really thinking, period, right now. Swords have to do with the mind and mentality. So he's just sort of going with things that happen. And that would mean that you've got a chance, if you really like this guy, if you're really interested in this guy, if you can bring about some chemistry with him, you've got at least as much a chance as the other relationship, maybe more if you can get more chemistry with him. That said, I don't know that you want to put that sort of effort into somebody who's, just out there having, emotional relationships with as many people as happen to cross his path. The fact that he's not thinking could be some of this astrological stuff that Denise and I are talking about, but it could just be that he's thought less. Denise. Yeah, Venus in retrograde, I'm really not looking forward to. That's going to really suck. Hi, Hope. Oh, why, thank you for subbing, Hope. I appreciate that. When will you see an improvement in health? Well, as a general rule, as I said in my in the sort of statement that I have on the page here, I try not to do health questions because that's for the doctors. But we'll take a look at various trends here. And what I see is inverted again. I swear I looked at this. The deck is not upside down. I don't know why all these inversions are coming up. Could be all these retrograde planets. The inverted Prince of Cups, it doesn't tell me anything about the body per se. The Prince of Cups is more about emotion, but it suggests that you're coming into a period of time where you're not going to be extremely happy. Inversion doesn't mean the opposite. It doesn't mean it's going to be miserable or horrible or awful, but you're not going to be feeling as happy or as good as people would like to be. So I would take that as a clue that the health either will not improve, or if it does, it won't be as fast or as much as you would like. That's quite all right. No apologies necessary. You're welcome, Janelle. And, as long as there's, the indicator says there's nobody here. Now it says there's one person here. As long as there's very few people here, if any of you ladies want to ask other questions, as long as there's just the three of you, I'm not going to hold hard and fast to the one card rule or anything, because, you're the ones who are here. I'm here. What the hell? Let's have some fun and look at some cards. Assuming any of you are still here. Hello, Nadia. Nice to see you. Do you have a question for the cards? Well, everybody's new here. I don't do this all that often, unless you mean new to YouTube. If you're just new to me, welcome. I'm glad to have you. Feel free to ask a question, Nadia. Meantime, I will see if I've got an answer for Hope. How will your life be in 6 months to a year? Well, that's a good question, except I'm dropping cards. You're welcome, Hope. Please, ask a question. I'd be more than happy to pull cards for you. So Nadia, Hope. Let's see. I get the inverted King of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Seven of Coins. So, Hope, what that says to me is that on the love life side of things, there's no indication of anything going great or wonderful or exceptional. So status quo at the best. However, the suggestion here is that career or work, I don't know how old you are, school, if you're not at work, but it looks to me like work. It looks to me like that goes fairly well. Maybe the boss isn't paying as much attention to you as you'd like, but you're doing really good and a lot of good fortune is coming your way. So extra money, things just generally speaking going your way. But then towards the end of that period, assessment by bosses or managers or teachers will be really good, and you can expect some sort of reward, a bonus or a promotion, or even just being thought well of. And although all those cards are relatively cheery on that, I will tell you from my own personal experience that when your bosses really love you, that often means more work. This does look like there's a little more money too, though, so that's a good thing. So let's see. What did I miss here while I was looking at the cards? Nadia asks, what can she expect from the person that she loves? What can you expect from the person that you love, Nadia? I don't know why it says it's 0 in the chat, Denise. It says 1 now, but it's never said 2 or 3. So I have to assume that the indicator doesn't know what it's doing. So, Nadia, what can you expect from the person that you love? I get the Emperor, the Ace of Swords, and the inverted King of Wands. I should hold them up so you can look at the pictures. As I said before, I drew these myself, and I'm not a great artist, so they're not beautiful looking. I'm just holding them up because other readers hold them up. The reason I drew them wasn't to make an artistic statement, but to have a great connection with the sky, with the cards and the powers behind them. The Emperor suggests that the person that you love is going to be involved somehow in government or the law. The last time I pulled this for somebody who was asking about romance, she came back to me with her boyfriend is incarcerated. So I'm hoping that it doesn't mean that your boyfriend is incarcerated or is going to be incarcerated, but it looks like there's going to be something legal going on in his life, which is going to be taking a lot of his attention, which is going to make it harder for you to get any of his attention. Ace of Swords suggests that he's a very mental sort of guy. He isn't real emotional. He doesn't come across with a lot of hearts and flowers and I love yous. He's more of a thinking person. And that's going to be frustrating to you. The inverted King of Wands suggests that he may have depending on his age, if he's old enough where he's a father and has kids, he might be having some problems with his kids. Or if he's younger, he may be having some problems with his father. And it seems like the problem for you isn't necessarily going to be anything to do with the way he thinks or feels about you. It's going to be more about the fact that he's going to have these other things going on in his life, which are going to be taking his mind off of you. Now, as you know, a shallow male, I would say that means you can probably get a lot of his attention by being comforting to him while he's going through some of this stuff. Nonetheless, I don't know from just a 3 card pull how long any of this stuff is going on and whether or not or how deep your relationship is. So whether or not you want to put up with that sort of thing is another matter. And I can see the screen freeze, so I don't know if you got any of that or not. So I'm not sure how much of that you heard, Nadia, because when I looked up, I saw that the screen was frozen. Yeah, I hope it's funny. Well, I'll move the cards closer as they come up, but it's not art. It's just me trying. And screen is freezing again. Oh boy. So I'm not sure if you heard about how busy he's going to be, Nadia, and how that means he's not going to pay as much attention to you as he like and all that. Mostly what I'm seeing is like he's going to be so busy that taking a step towards you is going to be hard for him, that he might need you to be comforting to him. The question is, how deeply do you feel about him? If you feel deeply about him, then you might need to step in and comfort him and make him feel better while he's having these problems. If you don't feel that close to him, you might want to consider, do you really want to make the effort to be comforting him when you have your own needs to deal with? And now it says nobody's here. I'd be surprised if there's nobody here. Oh, he's a doctor. Well, the legal thing might suggest then that he has some sort of problems like a malpractice suit or just some sort of trouble. Not necessarily really bad trouble, but it's going to occupy him and take his mind off of stuff. You've done that before, so has he responded to that in the past? I knew you'd be here, Hope. I could tell. I like you, Hope. You're here. Anyway, Nadia, the question was sort of be, when you comforted him before, when he needed you before and you were there, did he reciprocate then? Because if he reciprocated then, he's likely to do it again, and it's probably worth doing. If he just accepted it and blew it off, then you might want to ask the cards questions about, like, should you be moving on? Now it says there's 3 people here. Hi, Victorious. Aries energy. Oh boy. Any particular question for the cards I can ask for you? The question, Nadia, was when you were there before, did it work out well? Well, if you love him so much, then when he's going through all kinds of stuff, then you just naturally want to be there for him. Let me pull one more card for Nadia to see whether or not he's going to reciprocate when she helps to take care of him during a hard time. And then I'll go to Victorious with the question, will you be successful in your career? So Nadia, what I get is the 9 of coins. And for hope, we'll put that up there. That's just, the 9 pips. It's based on a pip deck. So the real picture is going to be the on the major arcana or the court cards. The the 9 of coins suggests, Nadia, that he's going to appreciate that you're there for him when he's having his problems. And that will involve a certain amount of his showing affection for you. But it isn't going to be as deep or as hearts and flowers, God, how I love you kind of stuff. It's just going to be a sense of appreciation. But I get the sense that that's just because it's the kind of guy he is, that he's not one of these guys who shows his heart very well. It's more along the lines of he's subtle about it. So it isn't necessarily going to make you jump up and down and say, "Oh God, he loves me, he loves me, he loves me." You're probably still going to question it, but it's just that he's a quiet, subtle sort of guy about it, and he's not the deepest person emotionally. He's much more focused in his mind. He's more intellectual than he is emotional. Okay, Victorious. How successful are you going to be in your career? I'm going to do a 3 cards on that because careers can be sort of complex. Okay, what do we got? We got the Magician, the 8 of Cups, and the 4 of Wands. So it looks to me, Victorious, like your approach to your career is a little bit on the manipulative side. Like you are very communicative and you talk to a lot of people and you sort of make a lot of contacts and acquaintances, maybe friends. And then once you do that, you start to try to arrange your career situation the way you want it to be, which isn't necessarily a bad thing depending on the kind of business you're in. This isn't a good time for that because Mercury retrograde is like knocking the hell out of communications at the moment. The 8 of Cups suggests that you're tired. If you're not tired now, you're going to be tired later. It looks like you're coming into a burnout situation, which is never a good thing. However, it looks like in the further future, like once we get into next year, the 4 of Wands is that you're excited. Now, these cards don't tell me how you're going to do with the actual work and how you're what the money's going to be like, or whether there's promotions in the offing. But it sounds to me like you're coming into a period of time where things are not going to be emotionally going well and where you're going to be overtired. But you're coming into a period early next year where it looks to me like things will probably be going well because you are going to be excited about things. So it looks like probably new opportunities early in the year. Don't know if that jives with anything that you're currently seeing on the ground at work. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, given Denise, the fact of the matter is, given how many other things are retrograde and all the really amazing but scary stuff that's been going on astrologically for 2 years now, this Mercury retrograde is just the last thing that anybody needed on top of everything else going on. Well, thank you, Hope. It wasn't, and I wasn't attempting to make him look cute. It just comes out that way. Um, I took like a week or more on every single one. It took over a year to draw them. It was more about the magic. I was making a magical deck rather than a deck that was designed to be like appealing. I'm a ceremonial magician, and so it was making sure that I got every symbol in and that all the colors were on scales that are traditional according to certain magical orders, and that the spirits and energies behind the cards got in. The visuals were probably the least important thing to me, just because, I can't draw. Victorious, thank you. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got mouths to feed. You are actually spot on. Love it, appreciate it. I want to be a supervisor. I tell you what, one thing, Victoria said, this isn't the cards. This is just me as a guy who's worked for a living for over 30 years now, and having been a supervisor and not having been a supervisor. Be very careful about that, and investigate it and know what it is that you want, because in some jobs, not all of them, but I've had some where what being a supervisor means is that you're getting a lot of crap floating down from above you and a lot flowing up from below you, and not a whole lot more money for a whole lot of added pressure. Given the current economy, it might be better to look for supervisory positions in other places where they're desperate and are willing to come up with a lot more money. But you know your situation better than I do. I just point out that supervisor doesn't necessarily bring a lot of benefit, but can bring a lot of pain. So make sure you know before you throw a lot of energy into that. And you're probably smart enough that you already know that, and I shouldn't be sitting here pontificating and giving advice to people who actually are here for the cards. Yes, Hope, I'm a magician. Although not the magician. Although one of the schools of magic where I learned a great deal of magic said, if you're approaching magic, you should always look at the magician as a personal card. Denise asks, is Loki a magician? I don't know what you mean by low-key, Denise. If you mean the way you spell low-key, it reminds me of the book American Gods, and in that book, he certainly is. If you're talking about Loki, the Norse god, he certainly is too. But I personally don't identify with Loki as much as the magician. All of the symbols have astrological and mythological correspondences, and the magician, we don't have to do readings. We could talk about magic and mythology and stuff like that. I would love that. The magician is associated with the planet Mercury, and magicians are associated with the planet Mercury. And you probably can't see it, but on the wall behind me, I have a lot of symbols of Mercury, pictures of Mercury on the wall. And I don't have one of Loki there, but I've got two of the Greek god Hermes, one of the Egyptian god Thoth, two of Gandalf the Grey, one of Merlin the magician. I've got one of Loki's partner and nemesis Odin as the Grey Wanderer. I also got Moses and Jesus, but Jesus is the Good Shepherd, which is, bearded with a staff, because all of these guys are bearded with a staff. And Moses, as Charlton Heston is Moses in the movie, who's bearded with a staff. So, that's magician imagery for you. Well, a magician that's not obvious. There are a lot of different currents in what's called the Western mystery tradition that lead into magicians. One of those is called Rosicrucianism. I don't know if you know anything about it. It would take a lot of time to talk about it. I'm willing to do it. I'm not here to promote them. But just prior to the Reformation and the Renaissance, they published some documents announcing that they as magicians existed and were looking to see the world come out of like monarchy and like one dominant religion into a more free world. And they suggested that magicians dress the way other people dress and act the way other people act and be very subtle. And part of that was because, they didn't want to be burned at the stake. But part of it was so that we could live lives in which we could be out there with other people, living lives and, giving an example of people who are living good lives, but who maybe think differently than everybody else, which is a good way for tolerance and open-mindedness and looking at different sorts of things to sort of become more commonplace. Hi, Meerkat. Hi, Meerkat. My wife is a volunteer at the zoo, and she spends a lot of time with the meerkats. Do you have a question for the cards? Hope ceremonial magician. I'm mostly in the Golden Dawn tradition, although of late I've been hearing more and more about like Thelema. That's interesting to me. Now that's more of a religion, and I'm not particularly interested in it, but there's a lot of information there. Chaos magic has also become very interesting to me just because it involves changing channels in your mind relatively quickly, which is a good thing. Hi, Say. Do you have a Say or Sai? How do you pronounce your name, Sai? I don't want to pronounce it wrong and be like an ugly American who doesn't take the time to learn a name in a language that I'm not familiar with. Meerkat, what does F think of you? Platonic, she's female. Thank you. Let me take a look here. What does F think of Meerkat? I get the Hermit, which isn't showing up well on camera, probably because most of the coloring is gray. Another strong magician symbol. I appreciate your subscribing, Sai. Meerkat, the Hermit suggests that she's looking at you and seeing somebody. Well, the Hermit stands for the astrological sign Virgo. Now, the card itself shows a wise person, an intelligent person, but a person who's pretty much alone, who wants to bring other people to him, but more in the role of a teacher than, say, a friend or a lover or anything. I know you said platonic. So it looks like she looks to you as somebody who she can get advice from or help in understanding situations from. It also it looks like as a Virgo, she might think of you as like a very orderly and precise and keeps things in a certain way, which means that you're reliable and she can count on you for certain things. And I hope that makes sense to you and jives with what you are hoping for from her. Good morning to you too, Sai. Thank you for subscribing. Yes, you can get a card. It is Sai, or Sai, not Say. Got it, Sai. I'm not sure to pronounce the I as E or I, Sai. Anyway, yes, I'll pull a card for you. What's your question? Something about your career. You're looking for a job. There's a lot of that going around, my friend. I was looking for a job for most of 2020 myself. I was hoping maybe this could pay the bills, but so far it's just a little bit here and there. However, I did end up finding a job, so hopefully you will too. I get the Seven of Wands. It looks to me like you have the willpower, the dedication to get it. I'm going to pull another one. Get the Ten of Cups. It suggests that you inquire, like, with your family, your extended family, your siblings, if any, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, as far in your family as you can get, that anything that they know about, that you will have good luck with something that they know about, or with connections that they have. And the Five of Wands suggests that competition is such right now for jobs that it's not necessarily going to happen quickly, because there's just too many people looking in the areas where you're looking, which is another reason to follow the suggestion to make use of every contact you have, everybody who you in your family, everyone who you like as much as family. Talk to them all, find out what they know about what's open, if they can recommend you, if they can get you in someplace. I get the strong looking at this, that your own willpower and abilities and skill are just not gonna be able to deal with the fact that there's so many people looking for jobs. You need to use the people who you know to find something. Hope. Oh, I'll need to do my research, as I'm not educated on ceremonial magicians. Well, I can talk a bit about it more if there is no other questions coming up at the moment. So, okay, Hope, what the deal was with the Golden Dawn is it's a 19th century magical order founded late in the Victoria era or early in the Edwardian era. The general goal is less to, make the things happen that you want to happen, and more to achieve a sort of spiritual enlightenment. They attempted to take all of the different types of magic from different areas in the Western mystery tradition: alchemy, talking to angels, talking to things that aren't quite as nice as angels, tarot, divinations, mystery religions from ancient Rome and Egypt and Babylon, and just talismans, all the various kinds of magic, and put it together into one system. And they were so successful at it that most magic, including witchcraft in the 20th century, is based on the work that they did. They eventually broke up, although they produced some very famous people who created their own orders along the way. And those lines of initiation are still out there working in the magical community today. One of the interesting things is that they took tarot and encoded their system based on the Hebrew system of Kabbalah into the tarot, so that tarot is basically flashcards for magical information, and a lot of magic is encoded into them. Well, I'm glad that made sense to you, Sai. But nowadays, none of them gonna guide or help. Well, that's too bad. I hope that doesn't mean you're on the outs with your family. If you're still here, let me do a quick card to see whether or not your family can become better help in the near future. The Ace of Cups. I think maybe there's a chance that you're not putting enough, that you don't believe that your family can help you enough, that the ace is all about emotion, and they might be mad at you and they might be unhappy with you, but they really, really, really love you, and they might be able to help more than you know. It's worth a try at least, right? Anyway, anybody else got any more questions? Well, I'm up to 4 likes, but it still looks like there's only one person here, which is probably wrong. Nobody left? Anybody? Anybody at all? Yes, I am, Jasmine. If you've got a question, let me know. I'll start shuffling. Oh, I hate that little Microsoft thing that they put in the latest version of Windows where if your mouse is in the wrong place, you get the weather report and the news, and it blocks everything else on the screen. So what's your question, Jasmine? Is that how you pronounce it, Jasmine? Why is Hunter acting distant with you? I get the 6 of coins, the 3 of coins, and the 2 of coins. That's a lot of coins. So they're not particularly spectacular to look at. They're just the numbers. I get the impression that he feels excuse me, I've got something in my throat. I get the impression that he feels as if when he's with you, that it's all about you and that you don't see his value. However, I also get the impression that the only thing that he's really interested in is having a good time, having fun, that he isn't a very serious person. The 3 might suggest that he's good, that he's serious about his work, maybe, and that maybe he's sort of busy there right now. But the general gist of the cards is that he has a feeling like you don't respect him enough, and that he's mostly with you just looking to have fun, and that maybe you're looking for more than that, and that's just not what he's interested in at the moment. Does any of that make any sense or seem to jive with what you've been thinking about him and why he's being distant? If you're still here. All right, everybody who's still here, hit an emoji so I know how many people are really here. Can y'all still hear me? I got a ping from somewhere. Okay. It doesn't seem like there's anybody still here. Nadia, you're still here. I appreciate the feedback, Nadia. That makes me feel good. I like it when I know that I'm actually tuning in to what's going on with you. Since you're the only one who spoke up, if you have more questions or other things you want to know, please feel free to ask. If there were 87 people here and I had to answer questions for 1,000,000 people, I would feel bad that I couldn't give people the attention they want. But there's just a couple of people here. Feel free to ask for more if you need more or want more. I know one young lady who gets a hold of me and wants to ask questions every single day, not because she really wants to know the answers. She's just entertained by it all. Hey, Llama 20, nice to see you. Do you have a question? Why, thank you. I appreciate that. Can I answer a question for you? I'll start shuffling. Yeah, I know that, Nadia. Yep. You want to know if the doctor's ever going to come around and lavish all that emotion on you? Let me pull a card and see if he appreciates you, Nadia. I'll ask the cards if he appreciates you. I get the King of Cups. He does appreciate you, and he does have love in his heart for you. It's just as we discussed before, he's not real good about showing it or expressing it or having a it probably is never going to he's probably never going to express it the way you like, the way you want. It's not going to be all hearts and flowers and romance, but he's the King of Cups. If we think of cups as emotion and love, he's got it and he gives it, but he's reserved and he's conservative in the way he does it. Oh, Denise, how very nice of you. Let me just answer Llama and then I will do your Celtic Cross. Hold on for 1 second here. I just want to make sure that PayPal knows what it's doing. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. PayPal is accurate. I don't mean that he's never going to love you, Nadia. I mean that he's just isn't ever going to be the sort of person who just shows it in like a torrent of emotion. It's always going to be subtle and conservative. So Llama 20, will you get first rank in your exam? Just a yes or no. Easy enough. I get the inverted King of Wands, and I would say that's a no. That said, I'm not sure where you're from or how the exams are ranked or how many ranks there are, but although you won't get first, you'll still do well. So Denise, Celtic Cross, what's your question for the Celtic Cross? Boy, somebody gave me money. I'm going to have to do my very best now. And you're fun to talk to yourself, Denise. I like talking to you. You know, you're interested in a lot of stuff. The more interests we have, the easier it is to have conversations and talk and get to know each other and feel connected. Yep. Although it's better if I'm thinking about your question while I'm shuffling. So what do you want to know about in the Celtic Cross? Or do you just want a general reading? Celtic Cross is actually pretty good for general readings. Although I've got some general readings that take like a couple of hours to do that I would probably charge $100 for, but go to excruciating details. What does Vincent want you to know? What does Vincent want you to know? You are the 9 of coins. So Vincent is approaching you from a position where he considers you to be sort of intelligent and refined, and he thinks of you as a lady, by which I use the term in an old-fashioned way, like you're somehow respectable and knowledgeable, and he is looking at you thinking about the 10 of coins, which is family. It's emotional happiness. So he's coming from you in a position where he's thinking these good things about you emotionally. What's blocking him in getting it across to you is the magician, meaning he doesn't have the words, which is, I guess, why he's having a hard time letting you know what he wants you to know, right? Normally, I'm very big. If you have some time at some point, please feel free to look at some of my videos. I'm sort of I'm interested in the fact that how tarot readings go depends a lot on the question that you ask, how you ask it, and different ways you can look at the question. And this has a blocking thing, and it's Mercury, and being in Mercury retrograde, he just doesn't at this point have the words to tell you. The King of Swords, he wants you to know that he thinks about you, that you're on his mind, that that's it. He wants you to know that he thinks about you, that you're on his mind, and what he might not want you to know is that the reason for that is the 4 of Swords. he actually finds you to be somewhat relaxing. And this doesn't tell me that he's a tense person per se, but the suggestion of the fact that you're on his mind suggests to me that he needs some relaxation, and that the fact that he finds you relaxing is a good thing. Exactly. You mellow him out, and he really needs that at the moment. Of course, we all do, right? That we've already discussed that the world is sort of a tense place right now. In the past with him, we've got death. There's two different ways. Hey, Gwendolyn. There's two different ways to look at death in this particular kind of reading. One is that in the immediate past, we've had like maybe a lessening of the relationship with him. Like maybe the two of you had a deeper relationship right now, and that sort of came to an end, but for some reason you're still in touch. On the other hand, especially given your interest in astrology, major arcana all have to do with an element or an astrological sign or a planet. Death is Scorpio. And Scorpio in a situation like this could mean that in the past there's been some sexual tension between the two of you. It would suggest that if there has been, that he's been very subtle about it. Scorpios sort of keep it under the water, like you might see the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see everything that's below it. But the other thing about Scorpios with that kind of thing is that they can be dangerous about it, that it's not always, wholesome, clean, I'm in love, let's do it kind of stuff. So I suspect that in the past there were some sort of feelings towards you that were that way, but that is to some extent gone. Now, stuff like that always kind of lingers, but it's not the vibe that he's currently into. What's going on right now is the Empress, and the Empress is the planet Venus, and it suggests that the reason that you mellow him out is because that sexual tension has become actual love. He has a sort of love for you at the moment. He looks at you, and you make him happy. He's in love with you. He wants you to know that you mellow him out and that you make him feel good and that he needs that. But the reason that happens is because he loves you. The environment that the two of you share at the moment is the Ten of Coins, which actually suggests that things are very good for the two of you right now. Like you're in a position where when you're together, things go well. Bad things don't happen, and it just all fits. And like in the Rider Waite deck, the Ten of Coins is like a family out in front of a house, and oh no, that's wrong. That's the Ten of Cups. But it's family. It's an old guy sitting there, and there's kids running around, and I think he's beginning to think about the possibility of, I want to say, settling down. I mean, I know that's very conventional and it's very cliche, but I think he's beginning to see in the way things are with you right now, like settling down with you could make him very happy. Influences on you at the moment. The Eight of Cups suggests that you're actually kind of tired at the moment. Like you're kind of world weary at the moment, like between work and other relationships and whatnot, you're just feeling kind of drained. So maybe that's why you wouldn't mind. Maybe he doesn't just mellow you out, and maybe he kind of energizes you. Maybe this being tired, world weary kind of thing um, would not be on your mind as much if you were to go along with this whole settling down idea. His hopes and dreams at the moment is the Nine of Cups, which is primarily about like sensual pleasure. So, although we've got that whole love thing going on and that whole wanting to settle down thing, he's still kind of got sex on the brain. Um, that might be his entry level into all of this. Like the chemistry maybe helps to take him there. Um, Whether or not he's actually going to break down and tell you all this stuff, I get the Seven of Wands, which suggests that he, at the moment, is trying to work up the willpower to say this. I don't know if he's shy or if he's got a communication problem or what the deal is. None of that comes across here. Although we did have Mercury as a blocking thing and we do have the Mercury retrograde thing. But it looks to me like he's got to work himself up to telling you this. And he isn't quite there yet, but he is, in fact, working towards it. And that's the Celtic Cross. Well, if he's kind of shy, then maybe what we need to do is, encourage him somehow. Of course, it's easier now that maybe you have some idea of what's going on, right? It sounds to me like, the way you react to some of these things, I get the impression you already know what's going on before you ask. Gwendolyn, is that your question? Who are you? I don't know if you're still here. But I will pull a card about who are you just in case you are. Okay. As far as I know, you're the only one here, Denise, but I'm not sure of that because these indicators don't work. So I'm going to try and work through some of the other stuff here, but I will get back to you because, I like talking to you. Gwendolyn, who are you? You're sticking out your tongue, so I don't know that it's a serious question. I get the Hermit. Suggests to me that who you are is a lonely person. Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? If you're still here, please feel free to ask a question. I would love to answer a question for you. If you're not still here, well, I'm sorry, but Denise gave me $5 to answer a complicated question for her, and I was happy to do it, and I'm sorry that you didn't stick around. But if you didn't stick around, I'm here, and I'll answer a question, so ask a question. Meg Violet, I don't know if you're still here, but if you are still here, would you hang out with my boyfriend Stephen? Would I hang out with your boyfriend Stephen? I'm not going to ask the cards that because I don't know your boyfriend Stephen, but if he were to, send me a letter or something, I would discuss it with him. If it's a problem with English, you're asking if your boyfriend Stephen would hang out with you. I could answer that, but if you could clarify the question, if you're still here, let me know. Clarity's my middle name, Denise. Just kidding, it's Frederick, but Fred is better. He's kind of shy, or I make him that way. Well, that whole Scorpio kinky sex thing, if he was an intelligent, sensitive guy, could make anybody shy, right? The love thing could make anybody shy. The important thing, I think, when I look at that reading, the important thing to me, the 3 points that stand out the most, 4 points that stand out the most are communication problem, uh, the whole sort of less evolved sex thing passing away, the love thing really popping up. Although you want to capitalize on that before that Venus retrograde that you were mentioning before. Um, and the wanting to settle down thing, that seems to be like the big deal. Vanessa, what is next to you what's next in the love life? What is next in your love life, Vanessa? Vanessa, what I get is the 6 of Coins. The 6 of Coins suggests that your next lover or the next thing with your current lover, the next thing in your love life is your lover showing his generosity and showing his love. So I would suspect a gift and an expression of affection. And I get the impression that you're going to like it so much that you're going to have some warm, cozy, wonderful time together, very intimate time together. Denise, he's an Aquarius. Well, then the kinky sex thing will probably never go away because Aquariuses are real individuals. They're not as into it as Scorpios are, but they don't just toss it aside because society wants them to or people want them to either. Aquariuses do what they want to do when they want to do it, right? The question, though, is what his other stars and planets and stuff are. Like if he had a moon in like Virgo, for example, then of course he's not into that at all. He'd be much more reserved and much more conservative. But here's the thing. I don't know if you are at a point in astrology where you can like write up your own charts, or if you like go online and get computer generated charts, but I can draw up charts for you if you like. Somewhere either on my YouTube, in my channel, with and my description of my videos, or in the postings that I have with my videos, I've got my email address. I think I put it in for this one as well. Write down my email address if you want an astrological chart and an analysis of it. Send me an email and we'll discuss it. If you can get like his date of birth, the time he was born, and give me enough information to figure out his longitude and latitude, I can pull up a chart on him and we can figure out a whole lot of stuff. You're welcome, Vanessa. Hi, Ashley. Yes, feel free to ask something if you like. Fabio. Hi, Fabio. You need to know if your professional life will change this year. Well, let me pull some cards on that. Okay, Fabio, I get the Prince of Swords, the Four of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. So what I see here, Fabio, is that you really know your job well. And the people around you know it, and they have some respect for it, but you're not the top guy. You don't have the seniority. There are other people ahead of you in line who might not be as good as you. The Four of Cups suggests that you need to go within yourself and determine whether or not you need to go somewhere where you're going to be more appreciated. The Nine, however, suggests that you want to be very careful about changing job at this time because it looks to me like you have a tendency to be less focused on the job and more focused on enjoying yourself. And that can even be at work. I mean, it could be outside of work that you have too much fun and therefore you're too tired at work. But it could be that at work you have too much fun, like talking to other people who you work with and you know, hanging out with people and not necessarily spending as much time at the work. So in this reading, there's some air which is intelligence and very important to work, but you've got a lot of emotion. I would suggest you try to sort out the difference between them. What is you being very smart and what is you being very emotional? And go with the smart. It looks to me like where you are now, they recognize that you're smart. Find out what they admire about your intelligence and go with that. And you should be okay. You might not in the near future get to be like a top dog or a manager or something, but you're in a position where they're looking at you and they think you're smart. And if you prove it, you'll do good. I don't see any major advancement or changes coming up before the end of the year, maybe into the next year. You might need a more detailed or more cards in order to look more into next year. Let's see. Ashley, does LC ever have genuine feelings for you? Well, all feelings are genuine, Ashley. We might not like them. They might not be what we want them to have. They may lie about them to us. We may lie about them to them. But feelings are always genuine. So let's actually see what kind of feelings he has. I get the Hermit. The Hermit's been coming up a lot lately. His feelings for you are sort of an admiration for what you know and the way you keep yourself and the way you keep your environment, but they aren't super emotional. They aren't particularly romantic. They might be kind of he might be kind of interested in you physically, but he doesn't think that he really has a chance of that with you. Chrissy, sure you can. Ask a question, and I'll get to it in the order in which it pops up. Mega Violet, how does Stephen feel about you? Well, how does Stephen feel about you? The Two of Cups. Stephen is really attracted to you. Stephen really likes you. Stephen really wants you. The Two of Cups runs the gamut. It's hot, horny, I want to make love to you. It's I'm in love with you. It's all emotion. There isn't any thought involved. It's all just I love you. So, if you like him, then go for it because he's totally into you. Chrissy, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Fabio, you're welcome. Chrissy, can you get a love reading in love? Is love coming towards you in 2022? Well, if you want a full-scale love reading, that's generally where I start looking to try and sell people on like a better reading. But I will certainly pull a couple of cards for you. One second here. Oh, bother. There we go. Okay. Ashley retracted a message. Oh no. Another one. Okay, Ashley. Since you retracted your messages, and since I was focused on something else at the moment, please ask your question again so that I know what to ask the cards. Chrissy wanted a love reading. So, Chrissy, I don't know if you've got someone specific in mind or if you're just looking to see what's going to happen during the course of the year. I get the Lovers, the inverted Six of Wands, and the Five of Coins. It looks like it's going to be a tumultuous year. The Lovers suggest that you will find somebody and have a relationship, and you'll have to make a decision about whether that's going to be primarily a romantic relationship or a physical relationship or both. But the temptation to be physical is going to be there. Maybe you'll go for it, maybe you won't. He's definitely going to want it, but the romance is possible if that's what you're aiming it towards, because he's going to think that he can get the physical if it's romantic. So you're going to be able to get a powerful, happy romance during the course of the year. However, the inverted Six of Coins suggests that, or Six of Wands suggests that you're going to be, there's going to be a serpent in paradise. You're not going to be entirely happy with the way things are going. I get a feeling like you're going to get to a point where you are unhappy with the fact that he's not introducing you to his friends or his family or his coworkers. Like, there are going to be situations where he goes to do things with other people like family or friends or coworkers and doesn't involve you, and you're going to wonder if he really loves you if he's not including you in that kind of thing. And then the Five is going to suggest that he either rejects you because he doesn't really want to involve you deeper in his life, or you reject him because he doesn't want to involve you with other aspects of his life. And I'm sorry that that is the last card in it, because it was going so well before that. I am a nosy person who gives advice maybe where it's not warranted, but I would say, depending on your value system, you can have a lot of fun and enjoy yourself and have a good time romantically in the coming year. But when it starts to get serious, it's going to end. My advice would be, just knowing that going into it, try to enjoy and don't get like hurt, because you know in advance that this is the way it's going to be. So try to enjoy the good parts and don't be too sad when the bad parts happen. Just look for something else, because you've got a lot going on for you, girl. You can move on to the next guy after that. Ashley, you're welcome. Chrissy, you're single. That's what I sort of was getting. Is something wrong with you? That There's nothing in there that suggests there was something wrong with you. The fact that you asked the question, though, makes me think that I want to pull a card for you to see why you would think that there's something wrong with you. I get the Three of Coins. That doesn't suggest that there's anything wrong with you. It does suggest that you're very precise, that you're working towards creating something, your life, and that you want it to be perfect, and that you have the skill to actually make it that way. So it isn't necessarily that somebody rejects you because they're a bad person, or that you reject somebody because they're a bad person. It isn't necessarily that there's something wrong with you or you're not going to find the love that you want. It's that you're looking for the situation to be perfect, and you are strong enough and smart enough and good enough at making things perfect that you will at some point have that perfect relationship that you want. It just isn't necessarily going to be in 2022. I don't know how old you are, but the fact of the matter is that I didn't meet my wife until I was almost 30, and I've been married for 31 years now. So good things come to those who prepare and work and get there, for some reason, love reading. Let me pull a card for some reason. Or, for some reason. I really like that name. For some reason. Get the Magician, the Six of Swords, and the Tower. And I will hold them up briefly. I haven't really started thinking about the cards yet, but seeing the Tower at the end is never a good thing for some, so I apologize in advance. I don't know if you're looking for a love reading on a specific relationship you already have, or if you're looking for ideas about what's coming up in the future. But it suggests that either in the relationship you're in now, or if you're not in the relationship now, in the next relationship, you're going to communicate really well. Like, it's going to seem like a really good relationship because you understand each other, you can finish each other's sentences. The Six suggests that the person that you're with is kind of sad. They've just come out of something, not necessarily a relationship, could be a bad thing at work. They just got fired, or they just got a new job and it's not going well. There's something's troubling them. There's something, you're involved with somebody who's being troubled by something, or you will be involved with somebody who's troubled by something. And the solution that the two of you are going to come up with is traveling. And it looks like you're going to do some traveling with this person. However, the Tower suggests that it's not going to work out, that it's going to crash and burn. It doesn't work out at all, that the person is not who you thought they were, or it's just like a bad card. So the relationship you're in right now doesn't look like it comes to a good ending. Or if it's not if you don't have a relationship now, the next one out, you're gonna end up feeling really bad about it. It's not. I hate giving readings like this. One of the things I hate about like tarot reading, right, is like I spend a lot of time on Facebook, and there's a lot of tarot readings, and you see a lot of tarot readers who are always giving these like really wonderful readings, and I want to do that. I understand it. I want to always give a wonderful reading and tell people things are going to be great. But the Tower, I mean, there's an old wizard who does videos every day that I listen to, and he talks about how we all do it. Like when we do readings for ourselves, the Tower comes up and you say, "Oh, I wanted that to come up. It means change. It means, I'm going to have a new opportunity." But we're lying to ourselves when we read for ourselves, when we see it, because it's bad. It just means that the whole thing collapses. And I apologize, and I'm sorry that the card came up. And don't give up hope, because this is either the current relationship or the next relationship. But it doesn't say anything about your love life forever. It's just this one instance. So get through it and move on to the next one, and hopefully it'll be much better. Denise, listening to the old reading again. I hope you felt it was worth $5. If you don't, let me know, and maybe I'll do some more. If you felt it was $5, then talk to me about that astrological thing, because we can come up with a compromise price, and how much detail you want. I think, given your proclivity for astrology, we can do some business and have a good time at the same time, and gain you all kinds of insight. Otherwise, ask another question at the bottom. And the indicator still says there's only one person here. Foursome, will you continue alone? Well, the suggestion here was not that you would continue being alone, but that you would go from being alone to being with somebody to being alone again. I think your real question is, are you going to be alone forever? And I hope that the answer to that is no. But let's take a very broad term over the course of your lifetime look, because I don't like leaving you alone after the hour, right? I want to see something good for you. And I get the 5 of coins. It suggests you're not going to be alone forever, but it does suggest that whoever you end up with is going to have a hard time getting along with you, that eventually you will find a soulmate, you will find somebody to settle down with, you will find somebody to be with, but that there will be like fighting. And again, I'm going to stick my nose in with my own experiences and set the cards aside and talk about what I know from my own life. I've been married for 31 years. My wife and I do not get along really well. We argue a lot, but we love each other. We're always there for each other when it's really important to be, during emergencies and crises. And we fight a lot the rest of the time. And okay, we're not the couple that you look at and say, oh, these people are so in love, but we are. It's just, the way we show it to each other. So don't let the fact that the hassles and the fighting seem like a curse or a bad thing. It doesn't have to be. And it does mean you won't be alone forever. You're welcome, Chrissy. Denise, Saturn is officially direct. Woohoo! Now, the question is it still so close to Jupiter that they're playing off of each other, which is what made 2020 so sucky, but which also signified the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Like your boyfriend. Foursome. You're welcome for the honesty. Again, I wish I could deliver better news. Again, you're welcome. Well, I don't know that I deserve to be called the best, but I appreciate your saying so, and it makes me feel really good, and I appreciate it. Mani or Manai, should you be friends with Kel? Okay, Mani, I think that's a bad question, and I'll tell you why. Who's to say if you should be good friends with Kai or with Kel? What is the qualification for should? Do you think the cards should determine should, or should I determine should, or should you determine should? What's the criterion? What does it mean to you to be good friends with somebody, and what does it mean to you to be good friends with Kel, and what qualifies as should? I personally am a person who thinks the more good friends you have, the better. So you should always be good friends with somebody. Now, if somebody may turn out to be a bad person or a hurtful person, and then maybe you want to get rid of them, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have tried. Should is a very strange word. A better question would be like, would I be happy if I were good friends with Kel? Would Kel be happy if he were good friends with me, or if she were good friends with me? Would Would it become more than a friendship? Would we benefit each other? There's so many other ways to put it. Nonetheless, since that's what you asked, that's what I'll pull a card now. Two of Swords. It suggests that you might be better off if you don't become good friends with Gil. I don't know how helpful that is to you. I don't know how much you want to be good friends with Gil. If you have other questions, we don't have a lot of scrolling in the chat box right now, so if you've got more questions about Kel and the friendship, feel free to ask. But the one card pull suggests it might be better to avoid being friends with Kel. Wow, we've been doing this for a while. How long? An hour and a half. Wow. When this goes on my YouTube channel, nobody's going to watch it because it's an hour and a half long and people only have an attention span of like 5 minutes. I don't know if anybody's still here. It's down to 0. Are you still there, Denise? We've been friends for a while. You feel like your boundaries are crossed? Well, that card, the Two of Swords, its general overall meanings for any situation have to do with avoiding and blocking. And when my job as a reader is when it shows up is I have to make that avoiding or blocking fit into the situation, which maybe means taking some liberties with the meaning. So, and that's one of the problems with the word should. Should is subjective. Should suggests something bad will happen if you become friends with him, or something good will happen if you become friends with him, or, but who determines that based on the word should? If the question were, will I be happy, or will I benefit from, or will we have a good time together? There's something more concrete there. Should is very vague. The suggestion of the card is what, based on what you're saying, that you're contemplating it based on the fact that your boundaries feel closed. It might be that you shouldn't because you're blocking, and you're blocking for an important reason. So there's 2 other important questions we could ask, and that's, would there be some benefit to you of unblocking and being friends with him, or what's the reason for your blocking? Is your blocking being sort of a problem, and do we need to do something about your blocking? So on that first one about if there would be benefit to you to be friends with him or her, I get the Prince of Swords, and I think that tells me that a friendship with this person could be intellectually stimulating to you, which to me is a good thing. It's not to everybody's taste, but I think you could have good conversations and get some realizations about, the meaning of life, and just to have good talks together, as to what the source of your blocking is, I get the Queen of Wands. I personally like the Queen of Wands. It suggests that there's a person in your life, a woman older than you, possibly your mother, who has set a standard for you for the way you should deal with the world in general and people in particular, that maybe prevents you from going outside of a box that you're in. Does that make any sense to you at all? See, I don't know that this person, Money, will be like the love of your life or your best friend or, you know, just somebody that you enjoy hanging out with from time to time. I do get the impression that you would get some stimulation and benefit from being with this person, and that the problem isn't a matter of should or shouldn't. It's a matter of whether or not you want to follow the pattern that your mother set, or whether you want to create your own brand new pattern, if that makes any sense. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for smoking while I do this, but I'm an addict. What can I tell you? Could be worse. I could be addicted to, something really, 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 really that makes me dangerous to others. This just makes me dangerous to me. Anybody out there? Anybody have a further question? We've been at this for almost 2 hours. I could probably call it quits if there's nobody out there. Well, if nobody has anything else they want to discuss or add or ask, I think maybe I'll call it a night. If you're still out there, Denise, think about the astrology thing. And you know what? Even if you don't want to do the astrology thing, send me a letter. I'd enjoy talking to you. It was nice to talk to you all. I think there's one person still here, but I don't know. YouTube's indicator there is not particularly useful. If there's nobody here, then good night to myself. If there's anybody else here, good night to you. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when I'm around next time. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.